Welcome to everyone that ended up showing up here today. I thank you so much to all the people inside of the stream and to all of you who are watching us on YouTube. Today we're going to be covering multiple advanced concepts specific to MK11. So this will be a more advanced high-level video for more people that are interested in trying to understand huge discussions that are happening when it comes to the game right now. There's a lot of drama happening when it comes to the character on the right-hand side of the screen, and that is upgraded Jackie. I wanted to cover not only options that technically exist, but the reason why we're struggling with so many different concepts inside of the game, not necessarily just as a community, but for what the game actually forces those who play it to end up enduring when it comes to frame-specific instances, how it gets broken down on a competitive level, and how it becomes incentivized to make certain decisions. So one of those that I like to end up explaining through is going to be the thought process for high-level players that allow us to end up saying, this is why we do what we do. And I'm not saying the why for their personal reason of enjoyment, but I'm saying their why for the competitive nature, for those who actually compete in it, for this is the better option because of XYZ reasons. The first thing I wanted to cover before we get too into it was going to be the discussion of, does NRS care? This is a question that has been asked on multiple, call it perspectives in the game, and there's really two different aspects to this that we need to end up understanding. First way to end up answering this question, overall, is going to be, yes, they care about their games, they do try to end up making fixes, like for example, the Raiden and Fujin Infinites. Both of those tried to get patched out relatively quickly. I think the Fujin one, it literally took them like 2 days before it was immediately patched out. So do they care about their games? Yes. However, the subsequent part of this answer that people need to understand is that when I'm answering yes, I'm saying this to the part of after the game is out. This is a problem. The reason why it's a problem is because right now, for NRS's side of this, so understanding this from a business perspective, they have gotten caught in a loop where they are continuously making games every, 2-ish years, and they might break the cycle with this new piece that they're working on. And since Mortal Kombat 11 still has DLC to release, it might still last for a little bit. We'll see how that goes. But in either situation, you get caught into an endless loop where you create a new game that, because you're creating it at a faster speed, you have to sacrifice somewhere. It's not like all of a sudden you can create a game that's going to last 5, 6, 7 years like these other comparisons that people want to make, and not try to take more time to develop the game. So the question you have to ask is, okay, well, why does this happen? Why is it that they're deciding to make a game every 2 to 3 years? Why are these games such short-lived? Well, it's incentivized. The people that are currently buying the game, they're doing it for the crazy gore and the amazing storyline, which Mortal Kombat has an amazing storyline when it comes to fighting games. That's probably one of the things that they are known for when it comes to most of their fighting games. They do have some incredible stories. The problem that we're having, though, is percentages of people. You have the largest part of the market that actually buys the game, getting it for that purpose of the wow factor. The wow, the story, wow, the looks, wow, this specific design of a character model, etc. But when it comes to the actual percentage of people that will consistently play it to the highest level of play, that, show up for tournaments, that get sponsored, etc., that do the important things that keep the game alive, that's really, and this was an earlier topic that many people somewhat had a misunderstanding of, that's where your 1% of the quote-unquote good players come in. So you heard like Sonic trying to represent the 1%. People are trying to argue who does and doesn't qualify in that 1%. I'm saying regardless of who does and who doesn't, there is going to be an elite group of players for those fighting games. The problem for Mortal Kombat, or the NRS scene in general, regardless of just Mortal Kombat, this applies to Injustice as well, is you're going to end up having games that'll consistently come out and have really good overall looks or story mode, but they're trying to appease the consumer market. They're not trying to make a game that'll necessarily always be of the highest quality when it comes to the actual fighting game fundamentals, the actual fighting game mechanics, the actual hitbox issues, the accidental infinites that are left inside of games, etc., which is what NRS in the past has been historically known for creating when it comes to personal bad habits from one specific company. The problem that we're having now is people are now seeing this, because I do think the NRS scene is growing, and we are seeing how this is affecting players on both the competitive and casual aspect. So for example, with Mortal Kombat 11, the game is starting to be a somewhat of a bridge when it comes to skill gap because of misrepresentations of ideas and concepts. So for example, a really good idea that was presented was this idea called perfect block, where if you block something at the exact right moment, you could end up reversaling and basically punishing any, well, almost any attack in the game for basically making a call out that your opponent is most definitely going to do something on this just frame. In theory, this would be an amazing concept for all level gamers that end up continuing to pursue Mortal Kombat 11 so that they can end up leveling up their game. But in use, that's not what actually ended up getting created into the game. Instead, to try to decrease the skill gap, they ended up saying for perfect blocks, oh, well, as long as you end up having your block button pressed within a 5-frame window, you'll still get the perfect block benefits. So what a perfect block does in this game is it eliminates chip damage, gives you access to faster reversals that act as instant launchers and punishers, which most of which I believe are completely safe on block, if somehow they are blocked. Most of them are. And it allows you to end up basically competing way more easily against specific characters depending on what the option is in many different situations. The problem here is that you had a mechanic that was intended to be this very skilled and very useful thing. Meanwhile, you gave it such a large pool to actually be used from, especially for people that maybe they somewhat competitively play games, but they're not considered the most elite. That group of people can still semi-consistently use perfect blocks and reversal inputs, etc., which is supposed to be a high-level concept move, but really it started to become this bridge for the casual audience because it is not as elite as people are trying to make it out to be. And that's just one specific instance inside of the game. Now, if it was a almost just frame block where you had a only 1 to 2 frame window, then it would be an actual skill gap. You would see people making callouts that in that level, if someone was doing it consistently, you would be a much more elite skilled player, both in execution and in making the callouts and reads mid-game. But this also jacks up the balancing system for many characters inside of the game, because many characters inside of the game will end up relying on perfect blocking as a possible cop-out for many situations as your only other option, or maybe even an option select, to get out of pressure in many situations. I wanted to bring this up first just as the foundation so that we're all on the same page while we continue to talk on the next couple topics, which I'll bring up shortly. And that would be the idea for Jackie, specifically Jackie Briggs Upgraded, to end up being banned from tournaments. I want to cover it on multiple perspectives to explain. I also wanted to release just this very first video so that people can end up understanding what I'm trying to get at, and I'll also be explaining many specific situations that many characters can create that fundamentally break this game. And it is not the fact that they have tools or broken attacks. It is mechanically, this game is unsound. Mechanically, for what it's trying to claim it does not actually do. And I'll be covering that in the next video following this. So Hope you guys enjoyed this quick little sum up. The next video that'll be coming out will be covering Jackie Briggs.